Hello, my beautiful friend. Welcome to the last podcast episode of the Health Habits and Epic Living podcast. I am so excited to be with you today. And I'm so excited that you're with me and that we've celebrated so many podcast episodes together. If you've been with me a long time, I have been doing this podcast for over 5 years, almost 5.5 years. And it has been such a true joy to come on here and serve you and talk about all the ways that you can change your relationship with alcohol, is how it started. And then we have morphed into women's wellness and hormone replacement therapy and how to handle midlife changes, especially with our bodies, especially since we had inaccurate data for 20 plus years, and that's really done some harm. And so I felt really this call to educate women to take better care of their health, and that is through their habits that they do. And I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart that this has been such an epic journey to be with you each week, to talk with you, to share with you all the wonderful things that I've learned. And lately, that's around psychedelics and how much they can heal. And so we've had a couple of guests in that area and talking about abundance and how to bring more of that into your life. For today, I want to dive into a few things. First and foremost is my gratitude for you tuning in and having me bend your ear, tell you all the things, talk about my life, talk about the latest data. And I hope that has really helped you make change, and at least maybe not immediate change, but really a shift in perspective on how to best take care of ourselves. And a lot of the information that I've shared has been geared towards women. And some of the information on this podcast will be geared towards women as well, as I'm very passionate about women speaking up for themselves, which you'll hear here in a minute, and really making a difference because we can. And we are such wonderful humans on this planet, even the men, right? It's not to say that the men aren't, but we are just all wonderful humans. And we're really trying to do our best and stay up to date with the amount of information coming out and how really to live that epic quality life that we want. And we get to define that for us, which is so incredible that we have that kind of freedom, that we get to define what epic living and what epic habits we want to have. So, first and foremost, thank you, my friend, for being here with me. Thank you for supporting me on this journey. I have met so many great individuals. I can't tell you how full my heart has been. Some of my clients have turned into lifelong friends. We support each other through Facebook posts or DMs or on Instagram or sometimes through just text messaging. And I really have been so blessed to have you in my life. And I really hope that you feel the same. I really love mutual relationships where we both feel elevated after hanging out with one another. We both feel that we are each other's soulmates. I really enjoy those kind of deep, deep connections with people. And so if you feel that with me, just know that I feel that with you, and I'm deeply, deeply indebted and gratitude to you. So, as we're wrapping up this season of the podcast, I want to go back to what's been really resonating for me. And you've heard a number of podcasts recently on this, is this shedding process. And I want to highlight a few more things as I close out the podcast is really we're coming to the end of that year of the snake, and that shedding has really been going on in my life. And next week, February 17th, we get to invite that new lunar calendar year in, which is that fire horse, that energy of passion, that energy of strength, that energy of courage, that taking bold action. And one of my bold actions for 2026 is to end the podcast. There's other actions I will be taking, but one of them is that. So this will be my last episode. And so shedding, right? Coming back to that year of the snake, this is the last week we really focus on shedding and get rid of what no longer feels like it serves us to our next level. And I loved doing this podcast for so many years. And now it's not that important to me. Now I feel a different calling for my life, different purpose, being more in community with people, being with people. I love being on the air with you, but I want more connection. I want to help women transform personally. And that means being with them. And that to me is where my fire horse is leading me towards. And I want to make more space in my calendar for that. And that means some things have to go. Some things have to change. And so, with that, I am letting go of this podcast. So, a lot of times people won't change or never make the change because they're too attached to who they've always been. Change does require death, death of old stories, death of old habits, death of old comforts and old beliefs. And that's where your reinvention starts. So, one of my old identities is a podcaster, right? It's my current identity, actually. But after I wrap up today, that becomes now my old identity. And let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening, that there is death to that, meaning there has been some grieving going on of letting this go. Like, oh my gosh, what about the safety? What about this? What about the clients that love to tune in and love to tell me and love to come to our sessions and talk about all the things that I talk about on the podcast and elaborate further on that? Or I think this applies to my life. Can you help me apply it to my life? Because right now I'm just taking it in as knowledge and I'm not seeing how I can really be applying this to my life. And so there is that grief, right? There is that, oh, I'm letting something go. But that's how reinvention starts, my friend, is by making space for whatever you are welcoming in. And I'm welcoming in greater abundance, greater connection, greater transformation for the people that I work with, deeper healing, deeper health, right? All of this that I want. And so to make space for that, I have to look at what can I let go of? And so that a reinvention starts with release. What are you willing to release so that you can grow to the next evolution of yourself? So I want to talk about three things that really help this process of reinvention, really help this process of letting go, really helps this process of getting transformation, right? So that you can now make space to go into the next version of yourself. So I like to think of these as three habits because they're not something you do once and they're done, right? Like a habit. If you think about a habit, it's something you do routinely. That's right. BJ Fogg describes a habit as something you do routinely. Oftentimes it's on autopilot, whereas a behavior is something you do once in a while, right? Like a behavior, you may be working for a company for 20 years and now you've been laid off, or the job market has changed, or the job has changed and you just don't want to do it anymore. So your behavior now becomes finding a new job, right? Applying to jobs, interviewing, right? So that's behavior. You're not going to be interviewing for jobs day after day after day after day after day for like 20 years. It's not becoming a habit, right? Brushing your teeth is a habit, right? So we're thinking about three habits to get that reinvention, to shed the old and become the new, right? So these aren't things you do one time. These are things that you incorporate into your lifestyle. So the first habit is really to learn to speak up for what you want, speak up for yourself, and what you believe. I think that is imperative because not only are you thinking about who you want to be or the changes that you want to make, or how you want your life to be different. Thinking about it is one thing, right? But when you actually proclaim it, when you actually put it out into the universe, when you actually pray about it, when you meditate about it, right? Meditating is still thinking about it, but praying about it, people do get verbal, right? Talking about it. And then talking about it with others is a way that you invite it in to your cells quicker. Because talking about it out loud, it's like your cells hear you, your cells inside your body, the cells inside of somebody else's body, right? You are making it happen by proclaiming it is going to happen. So I already proclaimed on a previous podcast episode that I would be ending this podcast in 2026, right? I already put that out there. I knew, I just didn't know exactly when it would align and what I would want it to look like. And then I did. So just by speaking it, speaking up for yourself, you are helping yourself get what it is that you want. I'll take this back to how this podcast started. I wanted to start this podcast. I wanted to overcome my shame. And I wanted to let people know that when you change your relationship with alcohol, it doesn't have to be the only process that I had learned about until that point, which was a 12-step program and complete sobriety. That was not interesting to me. That was not the result I wanted. And I spoke up about it. I did something about it. I wanted to create a drink less lifestyle where I drank a lot less. I felt that I had control over my drinking and that I felt like I could take it or leave it. Some days I'd show up at a party or hang out with friends and I would drink. Other times I'd show up and maybe I'd have one, maybe I'd have two, and that felt right for me. And I'll have to tell you, I lived that and it totally felt right for me. I was so glad I spoke up for myself. I was so glad I went to the airwaves here and talked about my journey and how I got there and all the tools that helped me get there. And I wasn't hiding it from myself and I wasn't even hiding it from others. I was adamant that I wanted to be a woman who could take it or leave it with alcohol. That was my tagline. That was what I wanted to be. That was what I wanted to live. And because I spoke up and because I kept talking to myself about it and because I kept talking to others about it, I began to live it. And I want to give you that same reminder because you don't need permission from me, right? You have permission to do whatever it is that you want as a grown adult. You don't need permission from me. You may need permission from you, but I want to give you that reminder to speak up for what you want. Listen, people are going to judge us either way. People are going to judge us as the person who drinks all the time, or the person who doesn't drink at all, or the person who shows up and does a drinkless lifestyle. That's on them. But it's on you to live life the way you want to live it. And you get to create those boundaries. You get to create those settings by which you want to live. And I say this particularly because I know after working for years, almost a decade now, gosh, years working with women, that women feel like, gosh, if I speak up, I'm not going to go with the flow, or I'm going to hurt somebody's feelings, or I'm so used to people pleasing. I'm so used to taking care of others. And, my girls come home from college and they want to drink, so I drink with them. Or it's Thanksgiving and Uncle Joe comes over and he always wants his bourbon or whatever. Like, I hear the stories, I hear you, and I value that those are actually real. But those are other people saying what they want, and they are speaking up for what they want. And I just want to remind you that you can speak up for what you want and let others have what they want. And they don't have to match. And you can still get along perfectly fine and have fun. Most people will think it's not going to be fun. And I will tell you, it's even more fun because you're doing the life that you want. They're doing the life that they want. And everybody is happier when they get to do the life that they want. So I really will go down in history in my own mind, in my own legend, as I was somebody who wanted to live a drink less lifestyle. And I'm so glad I did that. I will tell you that I am no longer there. In the past year, I have not craved alcohol, and that is due to, I've been very honest and frank about that. And that is the massive transformation I got when I had some psychedelic journeys too. And I wasn't even working on that. I was working on other things. And that was just a side bonus, which is amazing. And I thought I would never be this type of person. But I'm open-minded to say, how can I further grow? How can I further evolve? And how can I further be healthy? Because those are values that I hold deeply. So get honest with yourself, radical honesty, proclaim it, put it out there, speak up for yourself, and speak up for what you believe. So powerful. And it doesn't have to be at the detriment of somebody else. It's just you being you. You can be you and get what you want. Okay, number 2. So that's the first habit, right? We're not speaking up one time. We're not just going out to our friends and saying, hey, it's February and I'm going to drink less this month, right? It's like, no, if you want to be that person, show up every time like that. Remind people, remind yourself, tell people, right? It's very empowering. And if you have really good friends, they will support you. They will want to see you successful. When my friends come to me or talk about something that they want in their life, I will sit there with them, brainstorm, how could we get that? What are you doing? What more do you want to be doing? Do you want to be doing more, right? Like loving on helping my friends be successful. Okay, habit number two. Oh, oh, this might be mind blowing for some of you. So, habit number two, you have to fall in like with the process. Yes, you have to fall in like with the process. Notice I didn't say you have to fall in love because you don't have to be totally in love with the process. But if you hate the process, you're going to quit. That's hands down, right? Anybody looking to lose weight, I've seen this over and over. I get the eye rolls from my clients when I'm working with, clients one-on-one oftentimes. Oh, I tried this. Oh, I tried that. You hear this defeated voice come from them. And you can tell they're not going to like that process. So then we don't do that process because who wants to lose weight only to put it back on? Who wants to do dry January only to go back to the type of drinker you have been in February? Look, I've done that so many times that I'm like, I'm done with that. So, what habit do I need to instill so that that doesn't happen? And it is to fall in like with the process. If you look at James Clear's work, his Atomic Habits, he doesn't talk about the end goal. He talks about the process. And he talks about how you have to like the process because liking the process will keep you committed to the goal. A lot of people say, oh, I'm just going to lose weight, or I'm just going to stop drinking, or I'm just going to do 6 drinks a week or less. And they focus so much on that goal that they don't even enjoy the process. And how do you know? Because they go out and get blitzed. They go out and get 3 desserts, right? They go out and they're just like blowing it because it felt so restrictive. It felt so hard. I hear that all the time. My clients love to tell me how hard things are. And so if something is hard, we definitely have the wrong mindset about it. We definitely need a perspective shift or we need a change in the actions that we're doing because we want to be in like with the process. I'm not saying that the process has to be, quote, easy. But if we're saying it's hard, it's hard, it's hard, it's hard, okay, let's look at that. Let's look at what is hard about it and let's change that and see if we can make it easier. Because if we're not in like with the process, we won't continue it. Bottom line, I've seen it over and over when you're trying to change a habit, when you're trying to change something about your life, if you're not falling in like with the process. Oftentimes, ladies will come into Drink Less Lifestyle and we'll be on a coaching call. And if they're new to me or new to my beliefs and my philosophies, I often get this like deadpan look when I say this sentence out loud. And it still will blow some people's minds. When I was drinking, I really enjoyed stopping. Some people have this negative, oh, I can't stop. Oh, once I hit 2, that's it. Or once I start drinking, that's it. Yes. Okay. Well, then maybe you shouldn't drink at all, right? Until you can really see, can you be somebody who can handle 1 drink? And I truly enjoyed stopping. That felt so powerful. That felt so good. I'm like choosing to have 1 alcoholic beverage and choosing to stop. And it impacted my fun not at all. I had so much fun drinking, so much fun stopping, and continued the night and stayed an additional couple of hours out with friends. It didn't impact my fun factor at all. And I love stopping. If I have a drink, I love stopping. I love it. I love it then. I love it the next day. I love it because it's my identity. And I've learned to like the process. Hear me, ladies. That was something I could not have said 10 years ago. Never could I have said that because I didn't learn how to do that. I learned once I drank, I just kept going. I kept going. I kept going. I kept going. Right? So liking the process is how you will get the change that you want. And I love James Clear. He has this great quote that I got from his newsletter. New goals don't deliver new results. New lifestyles do. And a lifestyle is a process, not an outcome. For this reason, all of your energy should go into building better habits, not chasing better results. How many people chase better results? Right? They don't chase better habits. They chase better results. And his book is so good on that. But a lot of people may have read the book, try to implement it, but they fell short in many regards because they're still not at their result. They're still not at their goal. And so, really looking at that integration of what he's saying. And there's so many more tools, right, that you can use that are not in his book, right, that I've learned from other people, I've learned from other books, I've learned from other coaches, right, other ways that you can really bridge that gap so that you really enjoy the habit so that you can get the result. So I love, love, love that so much. And I love a new lifestyle. New lifestyles do, right? So just don't think of a habit. Think of it in the context of how can I continue this throughout my life? And that's what's going to give you the reinvention and that transformation that you want. Moving on to habit number 3, right? Because lifestyle is a habit. It's something you do routinely, right? Number 3, here's another big one. And so when you read about habits and we're thinking about the new year, and a lot of people are wanting to change body composition or get stronger or lose weight or reduce the drinking, right? So we think of all these habits of drinking water, get more protein, all of that. But what I love working on, especially in my one-on-one clients and in my one-on-one sessions, is what I'll see a lot of times is that people are missing this one critical habit that would really help them stay on track, really help them continue making progress. And that is the habit of self-forgiveness. Oh my gosh, we get so critical of ourselves when we don't do the exercise, when we don't eat according to our goals, when we blast it out with alcohol one night when we're out with friends. Oh my gosh, we get on the shame bus. We are so critical. And there is no self-forgiveness. Some people are drinking or overeating or having bad habits due to something that happened 16, 17, 18 years ago. I was working with a woman doing a deep meditation clearing session with her. And 2 hours in, something big and traumatic had come into her mind. And she's like, oh my gosh, I thought I had gotten over this. I thought this didn't affect me anymore. I can't believe my subconscious is still carrying this around. And she starts having this emotional release. And she's like, this is why. This is exactly why I'm not able to make progress. And hear me, some of us are just carrying around trauma or little t trauma from the past or something that didn't go our way or something that we got really hurt by. And that's really blocking our progress. And so I'm like, great, I'm glad we know this now. And now we're going to work on the habit of self-forgiveness because you are still holding resentment in your body towards this person and probably towards you for letting it happen, for allowing it to happen. And absolutely, she's like, definitely, definitely, definitely. We started working on the habit of self-forgiveness. And within a couple of weeks, she got the change she wanted. It was just magical. When you get to the root of the problem, my friend, you can really make big changes. But a lot of us don't know how to get to that root. A lot of us need to walk the path with somebody else who can help us get there. And so by practicing these tools that I work with clients of self-forgiveness, wow, they are able to stay on their path. They're able to drink less. They're able to lose the weight. They're able to do the changes that they want to do. They're able to just to get rid of that emotional baggage. Have you ever felt like you're just carrying around a lot of weight, like mentally or emotionally? Right? That is not healthy. And we need to learn these tools to navigate this world, particularly this world is crazy. It's crazy out there. You read the news and it's like you don't want to leave your house, right? It's really crazy. So we got to practice forgiveness of others, self-forgiveness particularly. Self-forgiveness is even more important, in my opinion, than forgiveness of others because we live in our bodies from birth to death. And if we don't have the right relationship with ourselves, we are going to cause more emotional heaviness. We're going to look at ourselves as flawed or broken or why can't we get it together? We're going to wonder why other people can do things, but we can't seem to do it, right? We're going to have this skewed perception of this human creation that we can have a beautiful life, but we're preventing ourselves from having it because of things that have happened to us. And so I really want you to practice And this is a great month, right? February being about self-love, even more than self-love and self-care. Those are great. But what about self-forgiveness? Can you practice that habit? And by doing these 3 habits, by routinely making these a practice in your life, you can radically change how amazing your life is. And I want to say that you can get a reinvention whenever you want. You can start feeling unstuck whenever you choose to. It's just a decision. If you're feeling stuck or you're feeling you're not getting the changes, right? Really look at that and say, invite yourself into like, no, I want my transformation. I want my reinvention. I want this to start happening now because you are allowed to change. You are allowed to change at any point in time. You are allowed to end a podcast if you want, start a podcast if you want, start a new career, start a side hobby, learn a new instrument, learn a new language, whatever it is, you get to do that whenever you want. It doesn't have to be on January 1st. It could be now. It could be next week, February 17th. We start the year of the fire horse, where we bring passion and strength and courage into this next year. We go after what we want. And by doing these 3 habits that I talked about, right? Speaking up for yourself and what you believe and going after it, falling in like with the process of going after it. And 3, practicing the habit of self-forgiveness because we may slip back. We may not follow our plan perfectly, and that is okay. That doesn't mean our entire progress has been sabotaged. It just means we just fell off and we're human and we forgive and we get back on. We get back on that fire horse and keep riding it because we can change whenever we want. We can create a new habit whenever we want. We can create a new mindset whenever we want. We can be a new human whenever we want. We can have new thoughts. We can have new feelings, new standards, new boundaries, new relationships, a new career. There is no limit. There is no age limit to any of this. You can reinvent yourself today, tomorrow, on February 17th, or as many times as you need to create your epic life. My friends, be wild, be free, be liberated, be epic. It's amazing. It feels amazing inside your body. And I just want to say from the bottom of my heart that I love you dearly. If you ever want to reach out and chat with me, I welcome that. My email is sherry@sherryprice.com. You can reach out to me anytime. If you want to just let me know that you've enjoyed the podcast, I'd love to recognize that, hear that, and send you back a message. If you want to get on a call, you can go to my website to do that, and we can schedule a call to make sure that you are getting your reinvention just by following these 3 principles. And I'm still doing my coaching sessions and all my programs. I'm just stopping the podcast so that I can have more time in my schedule to spend more quality time with the individuals who want radical transformation and to be more epic in their life. I love you, my friend, from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being you, and go and be epic. Thanks for listening to the Health Habits and Epic Living podcast. If you're ready to take the next step to improve your health, wellness, and lifestyle goals, head over to www.epicyou.com and sign up for my weekly newsletter. Again, that's EPICYOU.com. Please note that the information in this podcast is for educational purposes only and does not constitute medical advice.